Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, listeners. What is going on, guys? It is your host, Mewing Llama here, the host of, obviously, the Full Tilt podcast. So it's been a little while since we've had a little bit of a discussion. And, a lot has happened since the last time, specifically in the gaming world. It is now 2023. There are big games coming out this year. Big ones. And that's some of the things that I want to talk about. One in particular is relevant right now because, so I don't remember exactly when it came out. I think it was sometime last year in 2022. Paramount came out with the Halo television show, right? It was a big deal. Everybody was talking about it. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Master Chief's going to be on the big screen. I was so excited. I am a lifelong Halo fan. I was born in 96. Halo came out in 2001. I was 5 years old. And I was already a gamer at that point. I had played the games of the likes of Siphon Filter, Metal Gear Solid, Rainbow Six, Call of Duty, Medal of Honor, and even, the more kiddie-like titles, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, I'd played them all. I'd played all that stuff, man. There was Resident Evil, Dino Crisis, which I think Dino Crisis has already been featured on the show. One day, hopefully Dino Crisis will, get renewed and we'll actually get to see, because we're in a little bit of a nostalgic stage, right? But anyway, not to get too off topic. Halo. The Paramount show, I was talking to my mother about it, I don't know, maybe back during the holiday season, and I'm like, do you remember Halo? She's like, yeah, I remember Halo. Who doesn't remember Halo, She's not even an avid gamer. She, doesn't even keep up with current, video game topics, I mean, you might see a commercial about Ninja and Fortnite or something like that, but she doesn't really keep up with it, but she remembers Halo. And I said, they finally did a TV show. Like, yeah, I think I saw something about that. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, Paramount. Paramount is doing it. And they're going to have like 9 episodes, 10 episodes, something like that. And I'm not going to talk about the show if you haven't seen it yet, so I'm not going to give you any spoilers or anything like that. It's just, the most that I'll talk about is the idea behind the game, or not the game, the show. It's not a direct adaptation from the video game series. And I've seen people say something like, well, why would you want that? Why would you want, if you've already played the story, why would you want it to be just in a film, like style or whatever? Why would you want it to be on the big screen? If it's the same exact story that you already know, well, it's like the Harry Potter movies, right? There were books that were made beforehand. Game of Thrones also had books beforehand, right? So what's the difference, right? The Walking Dead? Hello? You know what I mean? There's such good stories. The Halo story is so good. And the lore is so extensive. The universe is so massive. It's like, we want to see that. We want to see it told in live action on the big screen. Now, there was this mini series, which I think they've turned it into just a full blown, single shot movie now. Forward Unto Dawn, which, if I'm not mistaken, came out each week the month before Halo 4 dropped. It was the coolest thing ever. Coolest thing ever. So cool. And I found out here recently that entire miniseries had the budget of one episode of the Halo show, which is kind of crazy considering how much better I think Forward Unto Dawn was than the show. And granted, I didn't even finish the show. I didn't like it that much. And I tried. There was an entire storyline that I just could not. I just couldn't care to. I couldn't be bothered with it. You know what I mean? Like, it was one of those where I'm like, why is this relevant? Why is this useful to me as the consumer about the story? It really doesn't do anything for me. So that's where I stand on the Halo show. I got a little bit of a tangent there, but I want to bring it back around to my original topic, which is about adaptations, right? Well, we've got The Last of Us, which is being done by HBO, and although I don't like necessarily the casting for each of the characters, I do think that each of the characters and actors playing those characters have done a phenomenal job. Absolutely incredible. The Last of Us were, at the time of this recording, we're 3 episodes in. Excuse me. We're 3 episodes in. I have only seen 2 of them. I have not seen episode 3 yet, but fantastic so far. And it is following the video game. And I'm not going to spoil anything on the show. But they're even doing shot for shot with certain things. People have taken screenshots of like where the video game is, and it's like, bro, look at this scene. This scene is they've literally got everything down to it. Like there was one a shot of Joel after the intro, and he was out in this like he was outside in front of a building, and then there was a door behind him that was going into a building, obviously, and it was closed, and it was the way that his head was turned and he was positioned in the scene was exactly the way that Joel did it in the video game, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. I mean, like, it's little things like that that you don't notice, but you've got the people that really look into that stuff. But yeah, I just wished that the Halo show wasn't so woke and they had kept it according to the video game and how the video game portrays Master Chief and the books portray Master Chief, and they gave us a new Master Chief, which I've told people, I'm like, maybe if you don't know anything about Halo, maybe it's pretty cool, sci-fi series or something like that. But as somebody who's played Halo, my whole life and played all of them, it's like that's what I want out of my show. That's what I want. I want the show to represent the video game and maybe have people see what the video game is about, and they're like, wow, this show's great, this story's cool, now I want to play the game, That's kind of what I was hoping for, but we didn't get that. I mean, maybe I'll go back and I'll give it another shot and I'll try to finish season 1 of Halo, but I mean, I'll tell you right now, I'm hooked on this Last of Us show, and I'm all in on it. It's fantastic, and it's already been renewed for season 2 after its opening week. Has done incredible. Rightfully so, it should. I mean, it is incredible. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. Now, I haven't played the second game in The Last of Us, but Sony has been wonderful here in recent times. They have been starting to add their game collections onto PC. Finally. If you go on Steam, I think they have a page, PlayStation Studio is what it's called. I could be wrong, but I think that's what it's called. And they have their games on there. We've seen the likes of Days Gone, which, shameless plug here, you can check out my secondary YouTube channel, More Llama. I actually recently did a full playthrough of Days Gone. What an incredible game. What an incredible story. I'll save that, talk about that for another time, but that's one of the games that's on there. There's a game with Norman Reedus and Hideo Kojima, and I'm trying to think what it's called. I can't remember what it's called, man. But there's that game. Great launch. These games have had flawless launches. And that's not even all the games that are on PC that are Sony related, but those are some big ones. And now we're going to get The Last of Us. In just about a month, March 3rd, we're going to be getting The Last of Us on PC. And I've played the game a couple times over. I had it on the PlayStation 3, and then I also got it on the PlayStation 4 as well. It was gifted to me. So I can't wait to see what it's going to be like on PC. And then there's going to be the modding community. Sony's probably not going to be happy about that, but people are going to mod games. It's just how it is. When they're on the PC, they're a lot easier. I mean, it's getting easier to mod them on console now too, but I could rant and rave about the whole topic of modding and the developers fighting against it and all that all day long, but that's a topic for a different discussion. But I just want to talk about some of the games that are going to be coming out this year and things that I'm excited for. And The Last of Us, it's been remade and redone, remastered, all that crap 100 times over. It's like Skyrim, you know, we get tired of it, but you know, it's the first time that we're gonna get it on PC, so I'm actually excited about that. Finally, I'm sure it'll make its way onto the Switch and whatever platform it's not already on at this point. But there's another game that kind of snuck up on me. I've had it on my wish list since January of 2021. So for 2 years, I have had this game on my wish list. So for those of you guys that know me, I love sports games, right? Those are usually my chill, like, I don't make content out of them. They're just kind of like my chill offline type of games. I don't particularly like to play them online for various reasons. But PC has been lacking in sports games. We don't have any official simulated baseball titles. You know, Madden is, you know, a mess of a video game. 2K ported their game over for several years, and you know, we don't even get next-gen version of that game. FIFA has done a great job on PC, though. I'll tell you what, if you haven't played FIFA and you're a soccer fan or a footballer, then yeah, FIFA is the game, man. FIFA's really good. 23 this year, they gave us the new generation version. Fantastic. Plays incredibly well. But we don't have any combat sport games. We have the WWE games, but a lot of people don't see that in the same realm as like a fight night or a UFC game or something like that, you know, like a combat sport game. We don't have any of those on PC. You can emulate them, but that's a whole different ball game. And emulating's not always easy to do. But there's this game that was called Esports Boxing Club. Very ambitious game. Very under the table, I guess, you know, not well known. They recently changed their name to Undisputed. And that came out on the 31st of January. I was like, what? I think it was the 30th. I had seen something about it. I don't remember where I saw it, but I was like, whoa, wait, Undisputed. Oh, that's right. I was preparing for the podcast. That's right. And I was looking at games. I'm like, I want to see. I already know some major titles that are coming out this year, but I want to see what all is kind of announced for 2023. And I came across Undisputed, and I went, wait a second, Undisputed, that sounds familiar. I think I know what that game is. And then, so I looked, and I went, wait, this says that it's going to release on the 31st. This was on the 30th. And I went to Steam, and sure enough, it had a release date on it. And I went, wait a second, what is this? So, you know, I was streaming that day, and I was talking about it. I'm like, wow, the countdown, you know, 14 hours or whatever. And then, you know, I went to bed that day, and I woke up the next day, and I went, oh, sweet. You know, it's like 9 a.m. I check, and I was Undisputed out, and there was no approximate, you know, availability time. You know, the timer was gone, and, you know, you couldn't get it. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, well, it's kind of early. We'll see. We'll wait later on. Well, after I finished streaming that afternoon, sure enough, there it was. It's on the market, $30. Undisputed, we finally have ourselves a combat sport game, and one of the most hyper-realistic ones to date. And although it's still not fleshed out, there's a lot to be worked on. It's still in early access. Honestly, if you're a boxing fan or you're a combat sport fan, I highly recommend checking it out, taking a look at it, see what you think about it, and maybe supporting the devs and all that. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool looking. So I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. There's not a lot to talk about with that game, other than it's just a boxing game. They've got, you know, real fighters in the game, like Muhammad Ali. They got the Gypsy King. They got Canelo. You know, they got Arturo Gatti for some of you old heads out there. You know, pretty cool, and it seems pretty promising. Another game that came out just recently was Dead Space, the remake of Dead Space. They say remake, but I think it's more of a remaster, because I'm pretty sure it's the exact same game, same mechanics, you know, same map, same story, everything, right? If you've played it, you know, yeah, you might not care about it, but it looks good, visually good, plays well. There's not a lot of bugs, well received, which I think is good, because we're in this nostalgic kick, and we've had some games come out that are just underwhelming, and they're full of bugs and all that. It's like, man, you know, take an extra year or, you know, whatever, and figure it out, you know, get it sorted. But Dead Space was pretty much a hit, which is cool. You know, it's 2008, I think, is when the original Dead Space came out, and we're in 2023 now, and it did well. It did well. I'm trying to think what is next up on the list. We talked about The Last of Us coming out March 3rd. Let's see, what do we got? I got all the dates here. We got this is a big one. This is a big one. You guys know I don't stray away from hot topics. You know, I'll talk about them. The big ones that I stay away from are typically politics, just because I don't give a crap, and you know that ruffles some feathers already. You know that I just don't care about politics. Oh, you should care about it. Yeah, I just don't care. And religion. I'm like, wars are literally fought over religion. Okay. No thanks. No thanks. I don't want to have just a general discussion about, you know, what you believe or don't believe in. It does not matter to me. It does not, you know, you are who you are regardless of what you believe in or what you don't believe in. So, we'll leave those at the door, okay? But this game, Hogwarts Legacy. Oh my god, you want to talk about a controversial thing? Hogwarts Legacy is so controversial right now. It is so hot that content creators are even like, man, do I even play this game? Like, do I stream this game? Maybe do I make any content? Maybe I just play it offline. You know, it's got content creators thinking like that because of how cancel culture is. It's like, bro, it's so stupid. Like, we get it. J.K. Rowling is not a cool person. We get it. But that does not make the Harry Potter universe, the expansive one and the incredible universe that so many of us grew up on, it does not mean that it is to just be written off on. You know, like, we get it that the creator, we can separate the art from the artist. You know what I mean? Like, we do it all the time with music and things that we consume on an entertainment basis daily, right? So like, Hogwarts Legacy, man, if you like Harry Potter, you're a Harry Potter fan. We haven't had a Harry Potter game in I don't know how long, and we haven't had a good one in even longer, you know? So if you want to play Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy, go for it, man. Enjoy your time. It is not, you are not transphobic because you like Harry Potter. You're not transphobic because you want to be a wizard in a world where wizards exist. You know, it's just weird to me that that is the hill that people are trying to die on right now, and they're trying to condemn and cancel and crucify anybody else that is interested in the game. I'm like, I don't understand it, man. Like, you support bad people every day with things that you use. The internet, you know, certain websites that you go to, streaming platforms that you use, the mobile device that you are on almost 24/7. You might even be on it right now. You know what I mean? So it's weird that people, you know, have those luxuries, but then they cross the line at J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter. Like, really? I don't know. It seems weird to me. Needless to say, that game comes out February 10th. I'm excited to play that game. I may not play it right away, but, you know, I am excited to play it. I am excited to get my hands on it, and I'm going to make content out of it, regardless of what people think. If people think that I'm transphobic, then, I mean, so be it. You think I'm transphobic, I am the farthest thing from that. But, you know, if you want to demonize me for playing Harry Potter, then, I mean, go for it. You know what I'm saying? And I hope that a lot of people, content creators, also feel that way. And I understand that if they're connected to a business or a company or something like that, and, you know, they have to look out for more than just their own brand, I get that. That's fine. That's fine. But for the independent creators out there, man, if you like Harry Potter, go for it, dude. Play the game. Have fun with it. It'll be a good time. It'll be a good game. I hope. I mean, I say that cautiously optimistic nowadays because, you know, these these games, you know, be a little hit or miss anymore. But anyway, I don't want to rant on that too much, because that could be a topic that could, you know, evolve into so many different things. So I want to stay on track of, you know, what we are here to talk about, and that's video games and the news concerning video games and other media. But yeah, anyway, Harry Potter, I'm excited. Anyway, moving on. Moving on. Okay, so a game that I don't know, because I saw that there was a release date and it even says it on Steam, so I'm gonna assume that it's gonna come out in February 24th. I also saw that there was no date listed as well, but Kerbal Space Program 2, which was the first one, was recently on Epic Games on their free to pick up and play to keep store, whatever you want to call that. Kerbal Space Program 2 now is finally set to release. I think it was supposed to release like a year and a half ago even. But needless to say, as far as I know, February 24th. And it's got multiplayer. And I think that's super exciting. And I'm super excited that, we finally get to get our hands on a smart person game like Space Engineers, but a little more fun. Kerbal Space Program is a little more fun and less serious than a game like Space Engineers. I don't really have too much to say about the game, though. I mean, other than I've played the first one, and I think it's an absolute blast, and being able to play it with people, I think is going to be even cooler. So, I'm excited about Kerbal Space Program 2. If you guys hear any of these games that I talk about and you're interested in it, if you're listening on YouTube, feel free to talk about it in the comment section. If you have a different take on something, feel free as well. A little shameless plug here, but also feel free to follow me on all my socials. Mewing Llama across the board on everything. I talk about all kinds of stuff, especially on Twitter, but I'm starting to get into YouTube, or not YouTube, Instagram, sorry, using Instagram more. So you can follow me there as well if you'd like, if that's your preferred platform. But anyway, moving on with what we were talking about. Another game, I was talking about how we're in the nostalgic stage of everything. Resident Evil 4, we've had 1, 2, and 3 done already, and 7 was already kind of like 1, and 8 was kind of like 4. But a new storyline, right, and that sort of thing. But anyway, Resident Evil 4 remake, March 24th, right? Super excited about that. I love the Resident Evil games. As I said before, growing up, talking about Halo at the very beginning of the episode, Resident Evil was a game that I played growing up as well and watched people play, and I was terrified, absolutely terrified of Resident Evil. It was a game that was off limits. It was a rule that I made as like a 4-year-old, right? Off limits at nighttime. When the sun was down, Resident Evil was not to be played in the house. Not allowed. Just not allowed. It was so funny, bro. It was so funny. That game scared me. I even remember the cover of the zombie with the partially torn like forehead or whatever. Oh, that was that case, man. I remember I used to turn it upside down because it was less scary that way, That's so funny thinking about. But yeah, Resident Evil 4, not a lot to talk about other than it's just a nostalgic kick. A lot of people, that's their favorite Resident Evil. Not mine personally, but, everybody's got their favorites. So I'm curious because Resident Evil 4 was kind of the last one that was of the original recipe. Resident Evil 5 kind of mixed it up a little bit. And I don't know if they're going to remake that one or not. I think that was the first one that introduced like a co-op gameplay experience on it. And then 6, I think everybody can agree that Resident Evil 6 was probably the worst of them all. So they probably won't remake that one. And I'm interested to see if they'll remake the 5th one, because the 5th one I think was on what I consider to be like the first generation of consoles that were really, really good. Like, don't get me wrong, Dreamcast, all that, the Wii, the original PlayStation, the original Xbox were fantastic. But like the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, those were the it consoles. I even think still today, those two consoles were kings. And Resident Evil 6 or 5, sorry, was on PlayStation. I remember that being on the PlayStation 3. So I'm curious if they're even going to bother with that, Resident Evil 5. I feel like they could and make it a co-op experience just like they did before, and I think it'd be a hit, absolute hit. Because I remember having a great time playing that game. Being scared, but, good times on that game. And then another game that is kind of going to be a little bit of a nostalgic kick, but I'm kind of scared that it's going to flop. We talk about this video game all the time on stream. It has one of the hardest hitting intros of all time. It goes hard for no reason. And that's Dead Island. Sam B, who do you voodoo? That intro goes so hard for no reason. Dead Island 2, April 28th. It was announced like 2-3 years ago or something. No, it might have even been longer than that. It was announced and then it was like cut or whatever. And it did not come back until recently. Dead Island 2 now, April 28th. I think it could be big. I think it could be big. I think it could also be a big flop. So I'm cautiously optimistic about that one too, because as much as I am excited about that, I feel like nostalgia is what's going to carry that game's name through its release and everything. But I could also see it falling flat on its face and doing absolutely nothing. And speaking of games that fall flat on their face and do absolutely nothing, there is this game sticking on the zombie trend that we got here. There's this open world survival zombie horror experience that is the most wishlist game on Steam. And that is called The Day Before. Now, I don't know if you guys have heard about this game or not. It was shown a little over a year ago now, the first time we saw anything about it. And it was kind of just cinematic shots of the game and some little gameplay stuff. Nothing too crazy, but it was called The Day Before, and it was this whole experience of this multiplayer zombie survival thing like no other. You know, almost like reinventing the wheel, but not quite. You know, we've got DayZ. We had H1Z1 Just Survive, right? We had those games, but this game was supposed to be different. And they were quiet for, I don't even know how long. It seemed for forever. And then they kind of just popped up recently. And they put their game on Steam. You could wishlist it and all that. And they had a release date, I think, which was supposed to be in February. I could be wrong. I don't have the information on that, at least not directly on hand. But that game was supposed to come out very, very soon. Well, people started thinking that this game wasn't even real. You know, people started making videos about it. They were like, we haven't seen anything. They haven't given us really anything new. They're just talking about, you know, how the game is ready to go, but we haven't really seen anything, which is usually a red flag. Don't get me wrong. Usually a major red flag. So it's kind of like, what? Okay. These people raise logical points to it, but they're showing us something, you know, with these trailers and everything. But they're almost staged trailers, which, I mean, happens when you see gameplay releases. You know, you don't typically see raw footage until, like, right before the game releases. But, you know, I'll give people credit that, you know, this game does seem very fishy and seems almost too good to be true. And then there was news that came out just a couple of days ago about how the game was... There was some copyright issues with the name, that once the game was announced that there was somebody in America that, you know, filed for the, you know, the use of The Day Before, like copyright or trademark the name for the gaming industry or something like that, and it was not any of the developers. It was just some random person. So they're apparently having issues with that, and it's pushing back like trailers that they wanted to show people, and it's pushing back the release dates now all the way in November. And it seems very fishy. It's like, if you had all this stuff set up for the announcement, you would think that you would trademark your own game title so people couldn't snipe it out from underneath you. You know what I mean? And that seems a little, you know, very amateur-like. And I don't understand why somebody would do that. Especially a dev team. I don't know. It just seems weird, the whole situation that goes on with that game. And that game is the most wish-listed game on Steam right now. It beat Hogwarts Legacy. It beat out everything. It was king. And now it's gone? You know, like, it's not even, they delisted it. And I didn't even know that they delisted it. I think it was 2 days ago I was talking about the whole situation that happened on my stream, and somebody went to check. They were like, oh, it's on Steam? I'm like, yeah, you can wishlist it. And they're like, I can't find it. And I'm like, well, it's on my wish list here. I'll check it out. And it wasn't even on my wish list anymore. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? You know, so I started doing some research, and now apparently it's just, I don't know, it's so weird over this trademark thing, which the trademark thing is real. It is a real situation. There is public, like, records of that happening, so, like, that's a real thing. But it's just kind of like, why would you not, you know, how do you let yourself get put into this hole? So I don't know if they're going to change the name, and I don't know why they wouldn't just put out the videos. I don't know if there's some sort of issue because they don't have the trademarks to it by putting out footage of a video game called The Day Before that is somebody else owns the rights to. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that's why. I don't know. I'd have to do more research on it, but I was super excited about that game, and now, I mean, it almost seems like that game might not even happen who knows? I don't know. I don't know what the whole issue is and how to even resolve it, but a little bit of a sticky situation. And I hope it gets resolved, and I hope we get that game, and I hope that game promises what it is promising. Only time will tell with that, though. Another game that I'm excited for. I actually played, shameless plug on the second YouTube channel, More Llama. I played Star Wars Jedi. What's the name of that game? Jedi, the Last Jedi, Fallen Jedi, something like that. That game. Anyway, fantastic game. Loved it. Had a great time with that game. The sequel, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, coming out the same day that Dead Island 2 is. You want to talk about two banger games? Because we know the first Star Wars Jedi game, banger. Sequel, I don't know how you fail at that. I don't know how you don't make it great. So, needless to say, the first quarter is going to be an absolute banger for gamers. I hope your wallets are prepared, because there's a lot. If you're a sports fan, you got Undisputed. You got WWE 2K23. You've got The Last of Us. You got Hogwarts Legacy. You got Dead Space already out. You got Kerbal Space Program. You got Resident Evil 4. You got Dead Island 2. And you got Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Those are the games that are confirmed. And that's not even all the games that are confirmed. I was just going through and looking at games that I was interested in. And those are all games that I'm interested in. And then we've got games that don't even have a release date yet. And we haven't even, I was talking about the day before and how I'm super excited about that game. That's not even the game I'm most excited about. We had an announcement this year that Payday 3 was coming out this year. Payday 3? You mean Valve can count to 3? That's crazy. Payday 2? So good. Absolutely love that game. So Payday 3, I cannot wait, man. I cannot wait. And I can see that game being filled with microtransactions out the butt. But I'll be okay with that. As long as it's not, something that hinders my gameplay experience, I don't care about microtransactions. But I am super excited about Payday 3. And then another game that I'm super excited about. These games, by the way, do not have a release date. So they might not even come out this year. They have just been announced, Assassin's Creed Mirage is supposed to be going back to the roots of the original Assassin's Creed. Okay, so I have not played Assassin's Creed since, I believe, Syndicate. It was the one that was in the UK, I think. That was the last one that I played. After that, they started taking this RPG element to it, where you had zones in the map that were certain levels, and you had character levels, and you weren't really assassinating targets anymore. You were more of just just a RPG element, like you run around and fight things and everything's bullet spongy and all that. And I'm not big on those type of games. And to me, that's not Assassin's Creed. They were creating a new title, but just using the name of Assassin's Creed. Like Assassin's Creed 1, 2, 3, Brotherhood, all of those games, phenomenal games. Assassin's Creed 4, I thought maybe not quite Assassin's Creed. It still held the core elements of what Assassin's Creed was, with new elements added to it. So Assassin's Creed 4 I thought was still good. Unity, I believe, was the multiplayer one. That one was pretty cool. And then there was Syndicate. And there's probably one or two that I'm missing in between there. But, all the way up to that point, I was still kind of into them. And then they started really taking that RPG style to it. And I'm like, nah, this just is not, looter shooter, for lack of better terms. It just wasn't for me, man. I couldn't do it anymore. And I was like, this is not Assassin's Creed. This is not what I grew up on as Assassin's Creed gamer. But they promise with Assassin's Creed Mirage that they're bringing it back to its roots, where it's more stealth-oriented, more assassin-oriented in the name. Anyway, I'm cautiously optimistic about that game, too. That game might not even come out this year. I believe that they've only given us a cinematic trailer, one cinematic trailer, and haven't really told us anything else about it. So That game is just kind of on the back burner for me right now. I'm excited about it, but you know, whenever it comes out, it comes out. You know, and I'll be ready whenever it comes out. Another game that I have talked about many a times in my various platforms was this horror game called the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's one of those, you know, kind of like Dead by Daylight, where it's killer versus survivor sort of thing. But I think it's a new little bit of a new twist of it. Instead of like 4 survivors, 5 survivors versus one killer, you know, there's multiple killers, and I don't know if you're gonna be able to play as, you know, multiple people as one player, or if it's gonna be team versus team, or how it's gonna work. I don't know. I just kind of hate the world of gaming, the state of gaming, where everything's hyper competitive. And I have a feeling that game's going to fall victim to that, and it's going to make it not fun and not cool. Kind of like how Dead by Daylight is. Very fun game, but not fun to play unless you're like playing custom games, or, you know, with your friends or whatever, just because people are sweaty and try hard in a game that I don't think should be like that. But, you know, it is what it is. So there's that game that I'm kind of looking forward to. The Wolf Among Us. I don't know if you guys ever played that game. It's a Telltale game. Fantastic game. And there was only one like episode. There was only one season or whatever, and that was it. And they just kind of like left it there. Well, The Wolf Among Us 2 apparently is a thing. I didn't know that. Did you know that? I didn't know that. I do now, and if you didn't, you now know. So I'm excited, looking forward to that. I don't even know the last time I played The Wolf Among Us. I think on my Xbox 360. So I'd have to pick up the first one before that game releases at some point and play that. Another game that's going to be coming out, supposedly going to be coming out this year. I doubt it, but I mean, you know, who knows? We'll see. And maybe a hot take, I don't know. A game that I think is going to absolutely fall flat on its face, Starfield. From what I saw, like the technical preview that they had of it or whatever, Starfield looks like it's going to be almost like a Destiny thing, but more open world, kind of like No Man's Sky, but it seems very RPG-esque, you know, bullet spongy. Oh, you're level 17. Well, you're in an area that's level 30. Guess what? You can't kill anything no matter what you have. You know, it's just I just don't like games like that. Like, I feel like there's other ways to go about it instead of running across a enemy that has a health bar with a number next to it, and you have to shoot it 900,000 times to kill it. You know, I don't know. It's just not my thing, you know? And I know a lot of people like that style of game, so, you know, maybe Starfield will appease to them, but they're comparing it like, oh, it's like Skyrim or whatever, No Man's Sky. It's like, okay, well, if it's like Skyrim and No Man's Sky, then yeah, I mean, sure, it could be cool. And I mean, Skyrim's even, you know, an RPG game, but I feel like it's different in the way that it's an RPG game, you know? It's not as extreme with that stuff. Kind of like how The Division is. The Division's very extreme about its looter, shooter, bullet, spongy RPG thing. And that's what turned me off from The Division so bad, was because I thought it was going to be more of a realistic style rather than the RPG bullet spongy looter shooter thing. I don't know. Starfield, though, I'm not even cautiously optimistic about that game. I really think that game has so much hype over it. It's gonna sell well, but whether or not it actually has longevity and it does well with the consumers, I have a feeling it's gonna be a buggy piece of garbage. I really do. I really do. And I hope not, for the sake of games, you know, in the gaming community. I hope that it's great. But I don't know. It's one of those games that's almost too good to be true, you know? I just feel like that game is going to be like that. And like I said, we might not even see it this year. Who knows when we're going to see it? Time will tell, you know, and hopefully it'll do well. If it doesn't, then, I mean, I could just say, I told you so, but, you know. Anyway. There's not too many other games, really, that piqued my interest. So there's this game, going back to the sports titles, PGA 2K 23 just released this year, I think, or the end of last year. Great game. They've done a great job with that game. Fun, super chill. EA apparently has the rights to PGA as well. So there are rumors that they are working on their own title, which we love competition in the sports world. We love it. We love it. We love it. Monopoly in the sports world has done nothing but create terrible video games. We love competition. We love it. EA, 2K, start battling it out again in every game. Baseball, MLB 2K, MLB The Show. Give us NFL 2K and Madden. Give us NBA Live, NBA 2K, EA Sports PGA, 2K PGA. Give us competition, man. Give it to us. It's healthy. It's good. It makes you innovate. It makes you make things better. Because if you don't, then your competitor wins. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, and you guys already know I can rant about that all day long. Hate monopolies. I hate them. I think we're about done here. Shortly wrap up on this episode though, but we got a couple more things that I still want to talk about. Going back to the nostalgia kick, I really don't know anything about this game in particular, but I am excited about it still, simply because of the title. There's a Silent Hill game in the works called Silent Hill Ascension, and I say game. I don't know if it's really a game. Like, it's a game, but I don't know if it's really a game. There's talks that it's bridging this gap between streaming service and a video game, and I'm like, what do you even mean? Is it an interactive video game? Are we talking the Dark Pictures anthology? Are we talking Beyond Two Souls? Are we talking games like that where they're more story based and you kind of make decisions here and there? What are we talking about with this game? There's not really a lot for me to talk about other than that, with Silent Hill at least. I am excited to see what comes of it, but other than that, I don't really know anything about it. And speaking of story-driven games, there's apparently, I mentioned the Dark Pictures anthology. There is a game called the Dark Pictures Switchback, and it's a VR game. So if they can pull off, those games, the Dark Pictures anthology games, are so buggy, it's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But VR, they've never done one of those before. The people that make those games, though, I think they've got an insane amount of names that they filed for. There's 24 or some crap like that, titles that they plan on making, and they release a new game every single year. It's kind of impressive, I'm not gonna lie. But at the same time, their releases are always pretty bad. So yeah. Maybe slow down a little bit and clean up your games a little bit. I'm just saying. And then on the track of VR games, there's another game that I didn't even know that they were going to be working on a sequel. But The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners game, one of the more well-received VR games thus far in the career of VR games. Saints and Sinners Chapter 2. They're getting a second installment of that game. I don't know if it's a full game or if it's just a DLC, but it's called The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Chapter 2. Who knows what that if it's as good as the first one, that's a good thing. We need more ironed out and fleshed out VR games. I've had people, be like, hey man, you should get VR soon or something like that. Well, yeah, I would love to, and I'll get a VR system at some point. But as of right now, there's no reason for me to. There's not a lot there. There's not a lot to play. I can make content out of stuff for sure, yeah. But there's not a lot that is really, really worth getting $1,000 system for, I am excited. I am really excited to get into VR games, though. I think it's going to be a good time. I think it's going to be fun. But honestly, that's pretty much all I got, in terms of the video game universe and the video game world, we got a lot. That's a lot. I don't got anything else to talk about. And that's not even everything, but that's a lot. That is a lot. And I am so excited for this year in video games. I think it's going to be a good year. Feel free to tweet at me, guys, at Mewing Llama. Comment on my Instagram posts, on what you guys think about this stuff. The topics that we covered today. What is your most excited game? If you're listening to this on YouTube, then hey, leave a comment. Let me know. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with some of the things that I was saying? Do you disagree? What's your favorite game that you're looking forward to this year? Was it on the list of games that I'm excited for? Because like I said, there's a lot of games coming out this year, and I didn't even talk about them all. I just talked about the ones that piqued my interest and stuff that I wanted to talk about. And we're gonna see some games that pop up and just boom, they hit us in the face. Indie games, even that are just gonna pop up out of nowhere, unannounced. Bang, it's now in our library, and we're like, what the heck just happened? So anyway, I'm not gonna keep rambling and all that. It's gonna be a good year for gaming overall. I think we just gotta keep praying, fingers crossed, hoping that these devs are able to make these games, more polished and ironed out. And I know that there's a lot of crap going on. Oh, one thing before we get out of here, we talked about Halo at the top of the show, right? There was the layoffs at 343, and so many people were scared about Halo that like, oh, they're just canning Halo and all that. Well, apparently they're not, but apparently they are canning the idea. I actually saw this today. I don't even have this written down. I'm just pulling this straight from the dome. They are apparently canning the idea of any story mode DLC in Halo Infinite, and they're working on, quote, a new project for Unreal Engine 5, which Unreal Engine 5 is phenomenal, by the way. If you haven't seen any footage about that, look it up on YouTube. Look up some footage of some Unreal Engine 5 stuff. The stuff is insane, man. Any games that are going to be made in Unreal Engine 5 are going to look phenomenal, and it's going to be incredible, honestly. But I don't know what they mean by a new project. Like, I thought Halo Infinite was a flagship game. What do you mean, a new project? So, that's something I guess I can end the episode with and leave you guys pondering just like me. What do they mean? What do you guys think they mean? Let me know. Feel free to tweet at me at Mewing Llama. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think about that as well. If you've made it this far, thank you, by the way. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day and spending it with me here on the Full Tilt podcast. But that's pretty much all I got for you guys. I'm Dallas, the host, Mewing Llama. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are. And once again, thank you so much for listening. And I'll be seeing you guys in the next I fumbled it. The next episode. I'll see you guys later. Peace.